This place should not exist. Not because it is old, but because of when it was built, long before modern cities, before electricity, before steel, before machines, long before history says humans were capable of anything like this. And yet, beneath the quiet ground of modern Turkey, there is a city, not a cave, not a tunnel. A city hidden underground, designed to disappear. A city that could hide 20,000 people without leaving a trace. This is Derinkuyu. Above ground, everything looks normal. Peaceful land, soft hills, open sky. Farmers walk the fields. Homes sit quietly on stone. Nothing here suggests danger. Nothing suggests fear. But that illusion is perfect, because this city was never meant to be seen. It was meant to survive. The entrance is small, so small. You could walk past it every day and never notice. A hole, a doorway, a shadow, and then darkness. Once you step inside, the world above disappears. Light fades, sound changes, air becomes heavy. You are no longer standing in Turkey. You are standing inside something impossible. Stone steps descend sharply downward. The walls are narrow. The ceiling is low. Every surface is carved by hand, not chipped, not broken. Carved, smooth, intentional. This is not chaos. This is planning. And then the tunnel opens. A chamber appears, large enough for dozens of people. And it is only the beginning. As you move deeper, you begin to understand something terrifying. This place is not small. It does not end. It goes down, level after level, after level. 8 floors deep, some say more, each one connected, each one purposeful. This is not survival shelter. This is a civilization. Imagine this, 20,000 people living underground, sleeping, eating, praying, working, all without sunlight, all without panic, for weeks, for months, maybe longer. That alone should stop you. Because history tells us people of this era were simple, hunter-gatherers, early farmers. And yet, this city required advanced engineering, complex planning, and deep understanding of airflow, water, structure, and defense thousands of years ago. Let's start with air, because underground cities do not work without it. And Derinkuyu does not just have air. It has a system, over 50 ventilation shafts, some running straight to the surface, others branching across levels, fresh air flows, even to the deepest chambers. No smoke buildup, no suffocation, perfect circulation. Modern engineers were stunned, because even today, designing ventilation like this is difficult. And this was done with stone tools. Now water. Derinkuyu has wells, deep wells, connected to underground water sources. But here is the detail most people miss. The wells were designed so invaders above could not poison them. Some wells connect only internally, not to the surface. That means planning. That means foresight. That means fear of something real. Then there are the doors. Massive circular stone doors, each one weighing hundreds of kilograms, designed to roll shut from the inside, sealing off sections of the city. One door could block an entire tunnel, and once closed, there was no way through. This city was built to survive invasion, repeated invasion. This is the question that changes everything. Why would an entire population choose to live underground? Not temporarily, but permanently ready. Why build homes, schools, churches, storage rooms below the earth? People do not do this unless they are afraid. Very afraid. Let this be clear. Derinkuyu is not natural. These are not caves. Every wall is shaped, every ceiling measured. Rooms are placed logically. Living spaces near air, storage deeper below, defense points narrow and strategic. This is architecture, not survival instinct. Now comes the biggest problem. Time. No one knows exactly when Derinkuyu was first built. Some say 2,000 years ago, others say 3,000, but many signs suggest parts of it are far older, possibly pre-Hittite, possibly prehistoric. That changes everything, because large-scale underground cities require social organization, leadership, planning, knowledge transfer, things history says did not exist yet. There are no written records, no inscriptions, no names, no king claiming credit, no empire boasting power, just silence. It is as if the builders did not want to be remembered, or did not expect to survive long enough to be remembered. For centuries, Derinkuyu was forgotten, its entrances sealed, its tunnels silent, until one day, a man knocked down a wall in his home, and behind it, darkness, a tunnel leading downward. That discovery led to something unbelievable, a city beneath a city. When archaeologists entered, they were stunned. Maps could not capture its size. Every turn revealed another chamber, another passage, another question. How did they build this? Why did they need it? And most disturbing of all, what were they hiding from? Derinkuyu is not an anomaly. It is part of a pattern. Other underground cities exist nearby, connected, miles apart, which means this was not one city. It was a network. They did not have machines. They did not have steel. They did not have electricity. And yet, they carved an entire city into solid rock. Derinkuyu is not a cave system. Caves are irregular, natural, unpredictable. Derinkuyu is none of that. Its walls are straight. Its ceilings are measured. Its corridors follow logic. Every turn has a purpose. Every chamber has a reason. This is engineering. Start with the stone. The city is carved from volcanic tuff, soft enough to shape, but strong enough to stand. That alone shows knowledge. Whoever built Derinkuyu understood their material perfectly. They knew where it would crack. They knew where it would hold. They carved with confidence. Now look at the layout. The upper levels are wide, bright, easy to move through. The deeper you go, the narrower it becomes. Corridors tighten. The ceilings drop. Movement slows. That is not an accident. That is defense. Then come the doors. Massive circular stone slabs, each one taller than a person. They roll into place, from grooves carved into the wall. One push, and the tunnel is sealed. From the inside, no hinges, no metal, no weak points. Once closed, there is no way through. This is not simple protection. This is siege engineering. Think about what that means. They expected attackers. They expected time. They expected to be hunted. And they prepared for it. Air is the next miracle. Underground cities suffocate. Smoke builds up. Carbon dioxide settles. People panic. Derinkuyu does none of that. More than 50 ventilation shafts rise from the deepest levels to the surface. Some are straight, some branch. Fresh air flows continuously. Even today, people walking 8 levels down can breathe comfortably. That should not be possible. And the shafts were not just for air. Some double as wells. Water flows naturally from underground sources, protected, hidden, impossible to poison from above. That is planning. That is foresight. That is fear turned into design. There are kitchens underground with soot stains that prove long-term use. There are wineries, oil presses, stables for animals, churches carved deep into the rock, classrooms, storage rooms stacked with niches for food and supplies. This city was not meant for hours. It was meant for months. Now ask the hardest question. How did they remove the rock, millions of tons, carved by hand, without collapsing the ceilings, without cracking the walls, without killing the builders? Modern tunnel projects use heavy machinery and still face disasters. Derinkuyu did it with stone tools. That means calculations. That means experience. That means knowledge, passed down across generations. Notice something else. There are no random dead ends, no wasted space. Everything connects, everything flows. This was designed before carving began, not during, and there is something unsettling about how calm it feels. Derinkuyu is not chaotic. It is not desperate. It feels prepared, as if the builders knew exactly what they were building, and exactly why. Defense goes deeper. Some corridors force intruders to move single file, others slope upward, so defenders have the advantage. There are choke points, where a handful of people could hold back hundreds. There are false passages, sudden drops, blind turns. This is not shelter, this is strategy. Yet there are no weapons found, no mass graves, no signs of battle. That means something important. This city was designed to avoid conflict, not to win it, to disappear. Look at the exits, hidden in homes, barns, fields. From the surface, they look like nothing. From below, they lead to freedom. Multiple escape routes, multiple levels of secrecy, redundancy everywhere. That is advanced thinking. Now consider scale. Derinkuyu is not alone. Other underground cities exist nearby, some connected by tunnels, miles apart. That means coordination, shared knowledge, shared fear, an entire region prepared to vanish underground. Together, history struggles with this, because this level of organization does not match the timeline. It requires leadership, communication, long-term planning. All things we are told did not exist yet. There is no single builder named, no empire claimed credit, no ruler carved his face into the walls. This city was not built to glorify power. It was built to protect life. And here is the most disturbing detail. Derinkuyu was not used once. Evidence shows it was used again and again, over centuries, during invasions, during crises. When danger returned, that means the threat never fully disappeared. So ask yourself, what kind of danger forces people to live underground, but leaves no trace above? No scorched earth, no ruins, no collapsed cities, only silence. Engineering is never neutral. It reflects fear. It reflects priorities. It reflects memory. Derinkuyu remembers something powerful enough to drive thousands of people beneath the earth and keep them there. In the next part, we will follow that fear. We will look at who these people were, what kind of world they lived in, and what threat was so terrifying that it reshaped human civilization. Because Derinkuyu is not the answer. It is the reaction. They did not go underground for comfort. They went underground for survival. Because people do not carve cities beneath the earth unless something above the earth is terrifying. Look at the design again. The choke points, the rolling stone doors, the narrow passages that force intruders to crawl. This is not fear of nature. This is fear of other humans, or something worse. History tells us invasions were common. Armies marched, cities burned, people fled. But Derinkuyu is different. There are no burn layers, no collapsed roofs from fire, no piles of weapons. Instead, there is preparation, as if the builders expected danger long before it arrived. Consider the timing. Derinkuyu was used repeatedly, not once, not twice, again and again, during Roman times, by early Christians, by later communities. Every time danger returned, people remembered where to go, underground. So what kind of threat lasts for centuries? What kind of fear gets passed down through generations? Stories fade, memories blur, but Derinkuyu remained. Ready? One explanation is invasion, raiding armies, religious persecution, forced conversions. That explains some of it, but not all, because Derinkuyu was not built in a hurry. It was built before the crisis. Look at the ventilation. You cannot design that quickly. Look at the water protection. That takes planning. Look at the scale. That takes decades. Which means the fear existed long before the invasion. Some researchers believe the threat was environmental. Climate instability, extreme winters, droughts. The region experienced sudden shifts, crop failure, starvation, migration. But again, climate does not require stone doors that seal people out. Others point to disease, plagues that spread above ground. Isolation underground could save lives. But disease does not explain defensive architecture. It does not explain maze-like layouts designed to confuse attackers. So we are left with the uncomfortable theory. The builders feared organized violence, not animals, not storms, but people, large groups of people, with intent. Derinkuyu suggests a world where surface life became unsafe, a world where towns could be erased overnight, a world where visibility meant death. So people learned to disappear. Notice something chilling. Derinkuyu does not try to fight back. It does not stand tall. It does not show power. It hides. It withdraws. It waits. That is not the strategy of a conqueror. That is the strategy of a survivor. Now consider the silence. No inscriptions telling stories. No records of victories. No names. It is as if the builders believed history itself was dangerous, as if being remembered could bring the threat back. Some scholars suggest these cities were built during a time of mass migration, when unknown groups moved across regions, when borders did not exist, when violence came without warning. In that world, being underground meant being invisible. There is another theory, one historians rarely say out loud, because it sounds too unsettling. What if the threat was not human at all? Ancient legends speak of times when the sky was dangerous. Fire from above, darkness at noon, earth shaking without warning, catastrophes remembered as myths, floods, impacts, global winters. In such a world, the ground becomes shelter, stone becomes protection, silence becomes survival. Derinkuyu may be a memory of a world that learned a brutal lesson, that safety was no longer above the surface. And then there is the final detail. Derinkuyu was never meant to be permanent. It was a refuge, a place to endure, a place to wait until the danger passed. Which means, eventually, people believed the threat was gone. They returned to the surface. They sealed the entrances. They left the city intact, ready, just in case. That tells us everything. Whatever they were hiding from was real enough to shape architecture, and uncertain enough to never truly disappear. In the next and final part, we will ask the hardest question of all. Why did history forget Derinkuyu? Why was this knowledge ignored? And what does this underground city tell us about the future? Not the past. Derinkuyu was not forgotten by accident. It was forgotten because history did not know where to place it. Think about what this city represents. Advanced engineering, strategic defense, long-term planning, collective survival, all built without kings, without empires, without monuments to power. That alone makes it dangerous to the timeline. History prefers simple stories. Progress moves forward. Civilization slowly improves. Technology rises step by step. Derinkuyu does not follow that rule. It appears fully formed, prepared for a world that history barely remembers. When archaeologists mapped the city, they realized something unsettling. This was not a temporary shelter. It was a backup civilization, a second world, running quietly beneath the first. While life continued above ground, another life waited below, invisible, silent, ready. And then, slowly, that second world was abandoned, not destroyed, not looted, left intact. That is important, because abandoned places usually show panic, broken tools, scattered belongings, signs of desperation. Derinkuyu shows none of that. It was left calmly, deliberately, as if the people believed they might need it again. This changes how we see ancient humans. They were not helpless. They were not naive. They planned for worst-case scenarios. They prepared for futures they hoped would never arrive. Now look at our world. Crowded cities, fragile systems, dependence on surface infrastructure, electricity, communication, supply chains, all vulnerable. One disruption, and everything stops. Ancient people understood something we often forget. Civilization is not permanent. It is a phase, and survival sometimes requires stepping away from it. Derinkuyu was not about hiding forever. It was about enduring long enough to return. That is the final lesson. This underground city is not a symbol of fear. It is a symbol of foresight, of communities that valued life over pride, preparation over dominance, silence over spectacle. History did not erase Derinkuyu. We ignored it because it tells us something uncomfortable, that the future may look less like progress and more like preparation. Even today, millions of people walk above Derinkuyu, unaware, while beneath their feet lies proof that humans once prepared for the unthinkable and survived. This city does not ask us to admire the past. It asks us to learn from it, because one day we may face a moment when the surface is no longer safe. And when that day comes, the people who endure will not be the strongest. They will be the ones who prepared quietly. Derinkuyu waits, silent, intact, patient, a reminder from those who came before us that survival is not about power. It is about planning,